Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about distributive property. Distributive property is taking whatever is in front of the parentheses, whether it's a number or a variable, and multiplying it by everything inside the parentheses. So for this first problem, I have 5 parentheses x plus 2. I am going to take that 5 and multiply it by the x and the 2. So starting off with our first one, we have 5 times x. I'm going to write that as 5 dot x. That dot also means multiplication. I am doing this so that we don't have two x's right next to each other. So 5 times x is just like 5 times 1x. If there is not a number in front of a variable, then that number is automatically 1. So 5 times 1x is the exact same thing as doing 5 times 1, and we know 5 times 1 is 5. I just want to make sure I bring that x along. So 5 times x is equal to 5x. Next, I'm going to take that 5 and multiply it by 2. So 5 times 2, we know, is going to equal 10. Now, I have my 5x and my 10. Since the 5x has an x with it and the 10 does not, I cannot put those two together. So I am just going to write 5x plus 10. This is going to be my answer since I do not have any equal sign in my original problem. Let's continue on with that next problem. 2x parentheses 5 minus 3. So I'm going to do distributive property again, but this time I'm taking this 2x and multiplying it by 5 and then by negative 3. So I have 2x times 5. 2x times 5 is just like saying 2 times 5. But I just want to make sure I put that x at the end. So 2x times 5 is going to be 10x. Now I'm going to do the same thing by multiplying the 2x by the negative 3. Notice how I made this 3 negative. Even though this is subtracting, it is still negative. Subtracting and negatives are the same thing. So I'm going to do 2x times negative 3, which is just like saying 2 times negative 3 with that x at the end. So 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. Now that I have that, I'm going to combine them together with 10x minus 6x. In the next video, you'll see about combining like terms, but here's a sneak preview for you. Since this 10 has an x with it, and this negative 6 has an x with it, I can add those together because both of them have x's by them. So 10x minus 6x is going to be 4x. And now there's nothing else I can do, and I have my answer. Continuing on, I have negative 3 parentheses x plus 7 plus 1. I'm going to take this negative 3 and multiply it by everything inside the parentheses. So negative 3 times x. Again, if there's no number in front of x, I'm going to assume that number is 1. And negative 3 times positive 1 is going to equal negative 3. And I'm going to bring that x along for the ride. Negative 3 times 7, we know is going to be negative 21. And finally, negative 3 times 1 is going to equal negative 3. Now that I have distributed that negative 3, I'm going to rewrite what I have, which is negative 3x minus 21 minus 3. And here's another sneak preview into combining like terms. This negative 21 and this negative 3 do not have x's by it. So that means that I can put them together. Negative 21 minus 3 is the same as saying plus negative 3. I'm going to bring down that 3x since I didn't do anything with it. There's nothing to combine it with. And I'm going to add negative 21 plus negative 3 to get negative 24. And I have my final answer. The last problem we're going to do is a challenge, but I know you can do it. I am going to do distributive property, but this time I have an x in front and an x inside. But I'm going to do the same steps as before. I'm going to multiply x by 2x. So x times 2x. Again, the number in front of this x is just going to be a 1. So I'm going to multiply my numbers 1 times 2. But I also have 2 x's. So that's just like saying x times x. I know that 1 times 2 is going to be 2. And I also know that when I multiply two things that are the same by itself, it's going to be squared. So my final answer for this part right here is going to be 2x squared, because there are two x's that are multiplying by each other, and 1 times 2 is 2. That next step is going to be multiplying x times negative 3. Again, I'm going to put that 1 in front of x. And I know that 1 times negative 3 is going to be negative 3, and I bring the x along for the ride. Now that I have that, I'm just going to rewrite my answer to have the biggest power first, going down to the smallest power. Since this has an x squared and this has an x, I cannot combine them because they are not the same. So I am done. Please write down your questions and make sure to look at the other video.